In the last stream, we were working our way through this left side of the Digital Age questline, doing the extraordinarily tedious task of crafting every single relay, every single power flower, every single EMC link, and every single different color of matter in the project expansion pack. It took us almost 2 hours to get from the first power flower to the Mark 15 power flower, but we did it. We're now generating over 100 billion EMC per second, and we have almost 700 trillion EMC in total. And of course, at any point in time, we can go ahead and use our temporal pouch along with our bed here to accelerate the rate at which these Mark 15 power flowers are generating EMC to give us a big old boost. And the goal for today's stream is going to be to try and get this Mark 16 fading power flower, also known as the final power flower. But thankfully, unlike last stream, it's not going to be quite so repetitive. To make this, we have to get the Klein star Omega, because as we've seen here, in order to actually get any of these parts, to get the final relay, we need the final star shard. The same, I believe, is true for the final compressed collector. It is indeed, and I assume the same is true for the final EMC link. Now, in order to get the final star shard, we have to craft 1 nether star with 8 colossal star omegas, and the colossal star omegas are a little repetitive, a little tedious, but very much so doable. It's just a lot of crafting and a lot of EMC. The more interesting part is the nether star. The nether star is interesting because I think we have 2 options in terms of how we get it. We could go through to the nether, we could try and find a nether fortress, we could then try and find some wither skeletons, we could kill those wither skeletons to try and get wither skeleton skulls, and then we could come back, spawn a wither, kill the wither, and try and get a nether star that way. I did craft this red matter sword in the last stream. It's really not too difficult to craft. It's a dark matter sword with 2 red matter, and the dark matter sword is just 2 dark matter and a diamond. Super easy stuff. So we've got a pretty powerful sword. I think we could kill some mobs pretty quickly, but the alternate method, which I think is the method that I'm going to go with, involves using this fusion reactor that we have not yet made. We kind of glossed over this part of the quest book. And so I think what we'll do is we'll set up a fusion reactor and we'll use that to get the elements required to make the nether star. Those being titanium, lutetium, dysprosium, and mendelevium. Titanium we have, lutetium, dysprosium, and mendelevium we don't. Lutetium and dysprosium both do have an EMC value, so we only need 1 of those in order to get an infinite number of them, or basically an infinite number, however many 700 trillion EMC can buy. Mendelevium, though, I think is maybe the only element that doesn't have an EMC value that equates to its atomic number. And so that one we are going to have to make using the fission controller, but we're going to have to make 64 of them in order to get the nether star. Thankfully, once we have the nether star does then have an EMC value, and so getting more of them is going to be trivial, but I think that's kind of our plan. So the fusion chamber controller here is fairly straightforward to make. In fact, we might have almost everything it takes to make it, apart from, of course, the netherite ingots. Netherite we don't currently have, and we can make it, of course, with gold ingots and netherite scrap. Netherite scrap we can make chemically with a very simple recipe of carbon and tungsten. Carbon we have. Tungsten we are going to have to make using the dissolver. And I had a quick look through here between streams, and it looks like there's not really a clear best option here. And what I mean by that is that essentially everything that we actually have the ability to dissolve has like the same chance. I think it's 1.61. And I think the easiest thing for us to dissolve is probably going to be stone. I don't think you get the same chances with cobblestone. You don't. It's 0.14%. It's a lot lower. And so, you know, stone slabs, it's 1.61. If you go with stone bricks, it's 1.61. If you go with smooth stone, it's also 1.61. And so basically, we are going to get some regular old Minecraft stone, about 100-ish, with a 1% chance. You'd expect 1 in 100 to get you it. It's not guaranteed, of course, but if we do a little acceleration like that, we can start taking this stone and just dissolving it over here, and we're kind of just hoping that we get some tungsten. Again, once we have at least 1, we can take that tungsten and we can duplicate it, but the tricky part is, of course, getting that initial tungsten. Chat is right in that now that we've got 700 trillion EMC, we can, in fact, finally look at upgrading this regular furnace here. because as we saw before, Project E does add a dark matter furnace, which just requires 8 dark matter blocks, and then we can upgrade that to a red matter furnace, which just requires 3 red matter blocks. So over here, let's take our regular old furnace and boom, and then let's take our dark matter furnace and boom, and I believe that this should be substantially faster than the regular Minecraft furnace. Let's put in some fuel. It also has the added benefit of being able to kind of preload a bunch of extra stacks of items. So if you wanted to smelt 12 stacks of cobblestone, you could load them all in, and look at that. They're going to smelt incredibly quickly, and it looks like by default it ejects beneath it. Not quite sure why that is the case, but even without any acceleration, it smelted through a stack of cobblestone incredibly quickly. And so now back over here, we can do this, and we can do this, and we should have a fairly decent chance of getting some tungsten. And we did. Nice. So we'll take that, and we'll add it to our transmutation tablet. At that point, we can go ahead and grab a stack of it along with a stack of carbon. And if we take both of those over to, I think it is the combiner, it is indeed, boom and boom, that's going to start making us the netherite scrap, which unfortunately does not have an EMC value. That is fine. 4 is enough to get 1 ingot. I didn't realize that this was quite so expensive on the tungsten and the carbon front. Let's get 1, 2, 3, 4 more stacks of both of those. And there we go. We got a ton more netherite scrap with a few seconds to spare on the acceleration. Over in here, gold we have, and we can combine that with the netherite scrap. We only need 4 netherite ingots. Again, no EMC value, unfortunately. But now it's just a case of getting 1 more star, which we don't have, but I think should be able to do. Never mind, between streams, I did go ahead, and if you type in hash and then EMC into the system, it shows you all the items that have an EMC value. And so in an attempt to free up some storage, because we were running into a problem with our disk drive filling up towards the end of the last episode, but what I did is I took everything that had an EMC out and dumped it back into the transmutation tablet so that we had more space in here. That does mean, unfortunately, that we are going to have to manually grab 2 hydrogen and 2 helium because we no longer have any available in the system. That should be completely fine. Let's go ahead and craft up 1 more star. Of course, last episode we did craft all of our gravity into block form, but it's very easy to craft it back. Boom, and 1 glass, which also does have an EMC value. And boom, we have a fusion chamber controller. Nice. So it looks like this is where the quest line wanted us to get uranium. Again, I don't know if it's a bug that you can get uranium without using the fusion reactor, but you totally can. It's not particularly difficult to do. We did it with the block of amethyst, and it looks like the quest bug isn't going to kind of walk us through the construction of this, which I think is probably fine. Just for the sake of quest completion, I will grab an ingot of uranium here. And also, I guess, uranium dust. And then here is where the quest book veers off into big reactors. Unfortunately, we have put our reactor together. I think we do still have, a ton of reactor casing. So like that quest is easy enough to complete, but then here are the quests for the control rod, for the terminal, for the power tap, and the access port, all of which we do have, but all of which are currently in use, providing power to our refined storage system. That's fine. I think we should be able to make this fusion controller fairly easily. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that if we go to alchemistry, we are going to need some fusion cores. I think we need 3 of these, and I believe we need a bunch of reactor casing and some reactor glass. The reactor glass we have already made with silicon dioxide and lead. Again, I think we have probably 1 reactor glass in the system. We do indeed. Reactor casing, I think we have also already made. We've just used some of it to make the fusion chamber controller. Then the fusion core we haven't made, this is made with yet more netherite scrap with tungsten ingots. That is, of course, not going to be a problem for us. Tungsten we have, and if we take 16 tungsten and place that into our compactor, that's going to get us 1 tungsten dust, and we can now place that into our blisteringly fast red matter furnace to get a tungsten ingot, which we can then use to get an infinite number of tungsten ingots going forward. And so, if I am not mistaken, and I'm going to tear this down, by the way, because we don't need this cosmic dust generator going forward. We actually don't need any of the cosmic dust generators going forward. But I'm going to tear this one down, and we can do that, of course, much faster with Ultimine here. But if I'm not mistaken, the fusion multi-block is a 5x5 multi-block with the fusion controller surrounded by reactor casing. Unfortunately, this is not very easy to break, although if I'm not mistaken, I think the shovel can be used to break this substantially faster. It can. Nice. Okay, cool. Not quite sure why there's like a floating icon left in the middle of the screen there, but that's also fine. Let's break you, and let's break you. And we'll drop all of that back into the system for the time being. And yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's a 5x5 of reactor casing with the insides, kind of like the reactor that we have over here. The insides are going to be filled with reactor glass, and then unlike this one that we filled with control rods, I believe we just place the fusion core in the center, and it's 3 blocks tall. So let me see if I can't make a bunch more reactor casing here. I think we should be able to, because all we need is platinum, osmium, and blaze. Blaze is the only one of those that doesn't have an EMC, but thankfully the blaze powder does have an EMC, so we'll take a stack of platinum, a stack of osmium, and we'll take some blaze rods. We'll craft those down into blaze powder, and then over in here, that should be everything we need for a bunch of reactor casing. A stack might be enough. Let's have a look. We'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, fill in that complete 5x5 grid on the floor, and then we'll build the outside frame, much like we did with the big reactor, in a 5x5 manner. Once we've got the 5x5 frame down, we then need the 3 fusion cores. That's going to require a fair bit more netherite scrap. How much netherite scrap do we have left? We've got 8. In fact, we only need 9 netherite scrap, really, to make this happen. So never mind. We can just get a bit more carbon. We've already got some tungsten. If I throw both of those back into here, 1 and 2, that should get us the 9th netherite scrap very quickly, at which point we just need the tungsten ingots that we just taught our system how to make, and with that, that should be everything for 1, 2, and 3 fusion cores. Nice. These go in the middle, here, here, and here. I then believe that the fusion chamber controller goes here, like that, and then finally we just need to fill in the remainder of the holes around the outside of the frame with reactor glass. And so for that, we're just going to need a bunch of silicon dioxide and lead oxide. I got out 3 stacks of each, but I actually think that 1 stack of reactor glass is probably going to be enough here. Let's fill in all of these gaps here with the reactor glass. Okay, so all of the glass is down, and it turns out the top here does need to be reactor casing, so the top and bottom need to be casing, not glass. And then the final things we need here are a reactor energy, which is going to allow us to pump power into the reactor, along with an input and an output. All of that seems fairly straightforward. The energy is just a reactor casing with 2 redstone. The input just requires 2 hoppers. We are finally out of chests, but that is fine. We do have the wood required to make yet more chests, and by extension, yet more hoppers. That should be everything for the reactor input. And then for the output, we just need 2 regular old Minecraft droppers. If we have enough redstone, we do indeed. That is the output taken care of. And so, again, I don't think it really matters necessarily where these go. Let me try putting those on this side here. So we'll do the input on the left. We'll do the output on the right, and we'll put the reactor energy right about there. Is that good to go? Never mind. It turns out, unlike the controller, the reactor ports here actually go in the frame of the reactor. So I think we want to do input, output, and energy like that. You'll know it's worked when the controller turns red, and now we have an interface that is going to allow us to combine elements into other elements, specifically dysprosium, lutetium, and mendelevium. Now, the problem that we're next going to run into is getting power into this reactor, because although we are producing, or able to produce, I should say, a bunch of power over with our bigger reactor, we currently don't have a way of getting that power from the reactor over to this reactor, and we've actually just got our refined storage system slapped on the front of it here. Thankfully, that is where this mod right here, Flux Networks, is going to come into play. This is a mod that's going to allow us to wirelessly move power around our base fairly easily using a combination of flux points and flux plugs. Chat is right, they've got better vision than I do. Over here, when we dissolved the stone earlier, we actually did get a piece of dysprosium. So never mind, dysprosium is taken care of. So now all we need to get is lutetium and mendelevium. That should be fine, but we still do need to get into Flux Networks. So the first quest here is for a Flux controller. We'll bookmark that. We can unbookmark all of the components for the reactor. We'll then also bookmark a Flux plug and a Flux point. So the basic ingredient from the Flux Networks mod is one we've already worked with, and that is the Flux Dust. Now, we are also going to need some obsidian and some Eyes of Ender, and I think the Eyes of Ender are really the only thing that we don't have, but they are essential for making the flux cores. Now, thankfully, somebody in the Twitch chat did tell me a few streams back that if we head on through to the nether, what we should be able to do is take our Philosopher's Stone, avoid the enemies, and with all of this nether warp block, what we can do is we can just right-click with the Philosopher's Stone to transform it into warped warp block. Also, I believe if we charge up the Philosopher's Stone, we can do a much larger area all at once. The default key binding for that is V, and you can shift V to turn it down again if you so wish. But then if we go ahead and harvest all of this warped warp block, we can then break this down in the dissolver to get neodymium, and neodymium is one of the key resources required to make ender pearls. Now, we do also need mercury, which might be a little trickier to come by if it wasn't actually also a byproduct of the warp block. We get both mercury and neodymium. The only other thing that we need to make an ender pearl is silicon, which we already have. So back over here, we'll once again drop in the warped warp block, and we only need to do one of them actually. We can kind of get rid of the rest of them. By get rid of, I do actually mean just get rid of, because our system doesn't have that much space. And so now we'll add neodymium and mercury to the transmutation template. We'll then go ahead and take out a stack of neodymium and mercury along with a stack of silicon, and that should be Eyes of Ender basically taken care of. As per usual, we can make this a little bit faster because the combiner is not particularly fast by default, but there is 4 ender pearls. Let's craft those with some of the blaze powder in our system. 4 might be enough, but if we need more, we can always craft them. And then let's grab some obsidian out of our transmutation template, and then we are going to need to get some more flux dust, which initially we are going to have to do with redstone dust. However, as I also mentioned before, I think once we have 1 flux block, we should then be able to get more flux dust fairly easily. So if we're going to make 1 flux block, we do need 5 flux dust plus the extra 4 to make the flux cores. So we do need 9 flux dust, which means that we are going to need to get 72 redstone dust. That's fine. We'll drop in the redstone dust that we do have, and then we'll go and grab, of course, the standard strontium carbonate and iron oxide combination, and that should make getting the remainder of the redstone dust very quick. And a bit of redstone later. We'll drop all of that into there for now. This is currently going extraordinarily slowly because we did take out all of the speed upgrades to make this omnidirectional hopper over here substantially faster. Thankfully, we no longer need that omnidirectional hopper, so we can put all of the speed upgrades into the assembly controller, and that is going to massively increase the speed at which this runs, but it is also going to require more fuel in the form of blaze rods here, of course, inside of our air compressor. We'll put 1 speed upgrade in there, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I do have more speed upgrades in the system. We totally do, and I'm hopeful that 5 should be enough to keep all of this going quite smoothly, and we're already at 6 out of the required 9 flux dust anyway. There we go. Once we have at least 9, we'll take those out. I don't want to use any more redstone than I have to. I'm also going to go ahead and take the fuel out of there, even though we do have the safety valve just to be safe. Let's go and craft up 1 flux core, or 1 set of flux cores, and then let's use that to craft up a flux block. So now, I'm fairly certain that what we should be able to do is take that flux block and place it down somewhere, maybe in the ground, like this. Then, if we put obsidian 2 blocks above it, like this, I believe what we can do is we can drop redstone onto that block, like so, and then if we left-click the obsidian, that obsidian is going to slam down onto the flux block, turning into cobblestone in the process, but it transforms every single piece of redstone into a flux dust at a 1-to-1 ratio, which is substantially more efficient than the 8-to-1 ratio that we were using with Pneumaticraft. So now, we should be able to make many more flux blocks fairly easily. I'll go ahead and make the remainder of the flux cores here. We're only going to be able to make 12 of them, and I think we are definitely going to need more ender pearls, but that isn't even going to be enough to make the 5 required flux blocks here. So you know what? Let me put all of this away real quick, and let's make just a bunch more ender pearls. The Twitch chat does make a fair point here, and that is that we actually don't need the flux controller. The flux controller does allow us to enable wireless charging, but I don't think we have anything on us, at least not currently, that requires wireless charging. And so instead, we can actually just get flux plugs and flux points. They do work independently of the flux controller. And so let's go ahead and turn basically all of these ender pearls into Eyes of Ender. We'll drop those back in the system, and then we'll make a bunch more of these flux cores. I say a bunch more. We have wasted quite a bit of our flux dust on making those blocks that we didn't need, but over here we can drop more redstone dust down. We can grab more obsidian out of the transmutation tablet, and once again we can go in for a big bang, get ourselves some more of the flux dust. Surprisingly, that time it didn't transform into cobblestone. Not quite sure why that is, but we can then craft up a flux plug. This is the part of the equation that's going to pull power into the network. So you put this on the device that generates power. In our case, that's the reactor. And then we just need to craft 1 block of redstone. Actually, I'm going to do 2 blocks of redstone here. And by 2, I mean 3 blocks of redstone to allow us to make 3 flux points. 1, 2, and, oh, well, once again, out of dust. Never mind, 3. Nice. So ideally, what we're going to do, we're going to put a flux point down over on the reactor energy port, like that. We're then also going to put a flux point down right about here. That's going to allow our reactor to power our alchemistry machines, because up until now, these machines have still been using the power from the mana flux field, which has been working, but occasionally when I try and accelerate things, the mana spreader can't quite keep up. And despite the fact that we have mana available, it's not moving fast enough to keep up with the power requirements of the accelerated machine. And the final flux point that we're going to need is just for the refined storage system. So what we will do is we'll go ahead and we'll break the controller like that, and we'll put down the flux plug. In here, we need to click Create New Network. By default, it's called GamingOnCaffeine's network. That's fine. It does need a password. We'll put Isaac as the password, and we'll make it pink, like so. And then we just click on the network, and then now this flux point is bound to GamingOnCaffeine's network. Over here, what we need to do, open it up, click on this empty blank box at the top, select GamingOnCaffeine's network, and now power is going to move from this flux point, and therefore out of the reactor, round and over into the fusion chamber. And as you can see, this is now full on 100,000 redstone flux. We can then do the same thing over here. We can right click this, add it to the network, and now these are all going to get power from the reactor, making them substantially easier to use in the future. And then finally, what we'll do is we'll drop down the controller, maybe right about here, and then we'll just move over the crafting grid and the disk drive. Boom, boom, and boom. We can then place down the flux point right about here, connect that to our network, and we once again have access to all of our stuff away from the reactor. Now, one thing I think I might do real quick is kind of tidy things up, because the base is a little bit of a mess, and although we're not going to do a complete rework, I would like to move some of the little bits and pieces around just to make it a little easier to navigate. All right, so we've done a little bit of cleaning up. The only thing I wasn't able to move is the red matter furnace, because I'm fairly certain that we need a better pickaxe, specifically I think a red matter pickaxe, in order to be able to break that. Thankfully, again, the red matter pickaxe is not particularly difficult to make. We do need a few more dark matter, and we also need a few more diamonds. We'll grab some of those out of the transmutation tablet. I guess we'll also grab some red matter as well, because I have a sneaking suspicion that is required. But then over here, let's get a dark matter pickaxe, let's get a red matter pickaxe, and that should allow us to finally, once and for all, move this guy. It does indeed. Fantastic. And we'll just place that down somewhere over here. Nice. So now that we've got a bit more space, let's have a look and see if we can't actually make this nether star. So in order to make the nether star, we already have the titanium, we already have the dysprosium, we need lutetium, which we'll bookmark, and we need mendelevium. We'll start with lutetium because we only need to get 1 lutetium for this to work. Now, usually, we can get it from the end by the looks of it. We can go and get some chorus fruit, or some popped chorus fruit, or some purple blocks, but we can also combine copper and molybdenum, but we don't have either of those. Chlorine and xenon, we also don't have. Of course, if there are elements that we don't have access to, for example, like molybdenum, we could then go ahead and combine, for example, aluminum and copper together to get that molybdenum. So let's grab some copper, and I'll grab 2 copper because we're going to need it, and I'll take 1 aluminum. If I put both of those into here, like that, those should combine into 1 molybdenum. It does. Nice. We can then take that, add it to the system, and then if we put that back in with the copper, that should get us the lutetium. Nice. So that was fairly straightforward. We'll throw that away. We can get a stack of that in the future. Now, the slightly trickier bit is the mendelevium. This is tin and antimony. Again, the antimony here is lithium and cadmium, or boron and palladium, or potassium and germanium, or beryllium and silver. Beryllium and silver we have, and so let's grab 1 beryllium and 1 silver, not a silicon. I need Ag, which is silver. We'll drop both of those in, boom and boom. That gets us the antimony. We can then drop that back in, and if we combine the antimony with the tin, that should be everything that we need. So let's get a stack of tin, and let's get a stack of antimony. If we drop both of those in, I believe we can accelerate the front of this reactor. We totally can, and that should very quickly get us a stack of mendelevium. Fantastic. We can then take that along with a stack of dysprosium, lutetium, and titanium. And then back over in our combiner, if we drop all 4 of those in, like so, we get our very first nether star. Nice. We'll add that, of course, to our transmutation tablet. Boom. And now we have access to unlimited nether stars. And so, in theory, we should now have all of the raw ingredients required to make the final Power Flower Mark 16. The only thing we don't have is 32 quadrillion EMC. We're almost up at 1 quadrillion, but we don't have 32. I did move my fading power flowers up to the roof of this reactor temporarily, and of course we can, if we type in MK15 here, grab a ton more of these fading power flowers Mark 16. You'll see we've got over a stack of them. And so in fact, what I think I'll do is break these ones, and then that's just so many power flowers. I guess we'll just start building them, maybe around the outskirts of the base. All right, so we've got over a stack of them down around the base. I have accidentally placed one a little too high there. That's fine. We'll go and put that down over here. But we're now making 1.45 trillion EMC per second. And so as per usual, if we go and sleep, that should allow us to very quickly generate a ton more EMC. Look at that. 143 trillion EMC per second. That should allow us to get up to 40 quadrillion very quickly. We've passed the 1 quadrillion mark. We're at the 2 quadrillion mark. We're going to hit 3 and 4, hopefully, quite fast. And then once we have it, it's just a case of crafting up those omega stars, which again is not difficult to do, but is a tiny bit tedious. We can, of course, take our temporal pouch here, and I don't know how much use it's going to be, but if we do something like that and then sleep, that should give us a small boost to our generation. Yeah, it took us up slightly over 202 trillion EMC per second, but I honestly don't know if it's even worth the time to fly over there and fly back. I think it's much more EMC efficient for us to just sleep over and over and over again. And of course, chat does make a good point here in that we can now take even more of these Mark 15 power flowers and continue to place those down around the perimeter of the base. All right, 32 quadrillion EMC later and a heck of a lot of sleeping. I think we are about ready to go. So we need to start with Mobius fuel and a diamond. Pretty straightforward. We can then take that, and if we craft it in here, that being 8 Mobius fuel and 1 diamond, that is going to get us the Klein star iron. We can then place that in here, and if we type in Klein, we can take 4 of those. These, annoyingly, do not stack, and it might not be a terrible idea, chat, to get the transmutation interface. But it does also require the final star shards, which is the whole thing we're trying to mix. I don't even think that we're going to be able to use the transmutation interface, really. Like, we can get it once we have the final stars. Like, once we can make these, we could then get one. But at that point, we don't really need it, which is kind of a shame. But so we can craft 4 of these together. I think the recipe is shapeless. If we do this, that gets us the Klein star Y. And then you get the premise from here. We're going to take 4 of the Klein stars Ys. We're going to craft those together, and then we're going to take 4 of whatever that makes, craft those together, and we're going to repeat that process over and 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 over again until we get to the Klein star Omega. And there we go, the Colossal Star Omega. Nice. Okay, cool. So we'll add that to our transmutation tablet, and we'll take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, and we'll craft those 8 around our nether star, which we have put away into here. Let's take 1 nether star out, slap that into the middle, and then surround it with the Colossal Star Omegas. And boom, we get a final star shard, finally. And so now, chat, we need to actually make all of this stuff. So I think all I need to do here is get a little bit of flashbacks from the last stream. We need to take the Mark 15 relay, the Mark 15 collector, and the Mark 15 EMC link. We're then going to take, I believe, 4 final star shards. Do these stack? They do not stack. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fantastic. We're going to craft one of those with the relay to get the final relay. We're going to craft the fading collector with the final star shard to get the final collector. And then over in here, we do need 2 of each covalence dust. That's high, medium, and low. And that should be everything to upgrade the fading EMC link up to the final EMC link. And then after that, we put the final collector into here. We take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those, craft those into the compressed final collector, put that back in, take 2 of those, and that should, in theory, as soon as we get 6 final relays, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, be everything that we need. Oh, we don't have enough EMC for this? Interesting. We're very close, I think. We need 1.62 trillion to get the final EMC link, which we don't currently have. That is fine. We should now have enough. Let's head back over to here. Let's grab that final relay out of the system, and then over in here, do we have what it takes to make the final Power Flower Mark 16? We totally do. Fantastic. That is that quest complete. We'll put it in here. This thing generates 48 trillion EMC per second. That is a substantial upgrade over the 3 trillion that we're already making. And of course, if we were to accelerate this with our temporal pouch, all the way up to 256x, and then we were to sleep, we should see a massive increase in the amount of power being generated. We were up in the hundreds of quadrillions per second, which is absolute madness. And of course, we can then go back into the transmutation table. We can get as many of these as we like, put those down, sleep some more, and we effectively have now an infinite amount of EMC. It's not actually infinite, but it is going to go up continually, and I think it's way more than we're actually ever going to need. I actually don't think we need any other EMC going forward. I think this was mostly just an exercise in getting the ability to get infinite EMC. But let's take this, let's drop that over here, and let's sleep a little bit more and just see, yeah, 600 quadrillion EMC is what I saw for a brief second there. Even just passively, we're about 40 quadrillion EMC, which is staggering. And so back in here, the next quest is the end, which should be a fairly straightforward visit. Now, we don't really need it, but the transmutation interface is pretty nifty. And so if we take 4 final... Oh, I didn't actually save the final EMC link. That's my bad. Thankfully, it's very easy to make. If I take the Mark 15 EMC link, when we take the covalence dust, we'll take again 2 of each of those. And of course, we also need another 2 final star shards. That should get us the final EMC link. It totally does. And then we'll add that just in case we need another one in the future. In this case, we need actually 4 of those. So we'll take 2, 3, 4 of the final EMC links. And then other than that, we need 1 more final star shard and 4 energy condenser Mark 2s. Thankfully, we made those in the past. And of course, the final star shard is EMCable. And so, boom, that gets us the transmutation interface. And this is nifty because what we can do is we can take the external storage that we were previously using for cobblestone, and if we place down the transmutation interface, let's say right about here, we can then place the external storage onto it, like so, and you'll see that it basically is just a giant storage of all of the things we have access to in our transmutation tablet. We do, of course, need a cable to connect up this guy right here, like so, but now, in here, our system has access to everything in the transmutation tablet. So if we wanted to craft going forward with anything in here, we don't have to go to the tablet. We can just do the crafting directly from here, and it'll pull the items from the transmutation interface, and it will charge us the EMC amount. For example, we now have 2 billion swords available to us, which is pretty nifty. So, going forward, there are at least there are a few boss fights, I'm being told, before we can finish the pack. And so, it's probably in our best interest to get potentially the best armor available, which I think is the gem armor from Project Red. I'll bookmark all 4 of these here, and we'll unbookmark some of the other parts that we don't need. For that, we are going to first have to make red matter armor, and for that, we first have to make dark matter armor. Thankfully, that is not going to be a problem. Let's just type in dark matter into JEI. Let's get a chest plate. Let's get the leggings. Let's get the boots, and then let's upgrade all of those to red matter variants of the same items. We'll do the helmet, we'll do the chest plate, we'll do the leggings, and we'll do the boots. And then if we want to upgrade those to their gem version, we are going to need a couple of different things. The boots require a Klein Star Omega. In fact, they all require a Klein Star Omega. That's fine. The boots require 2 Swift Wolves Rending Gales. Then, shouldn't be a problem, but I guess it is kind of a problem because we don't actually have buckets of iron available. They don't have any MC. It's not a problem because we do have lava very close by. In fact, we can just grab 2 more buckets of lava very quickly and then use those to craft up 2 more iron bends. Boom. And boom. That gets us 2 iron bends. And then I think we're not going to have the feathers for this. Never mind. We totally do. Fantastic. We'll throw those in. And boom, we get the gem boots. Nice. We can put those on and replace our standard iron boot so we can get a little bit of a weird FOV effect there. Now, for the gem leggings, we need a black hole band, which is, you guessed it, yet another band here. Do all of these need buckets of lava? Not all of them, but a few of them do. Let's get... actually, you know what? While we're going over there, I know that we're going to need at least 7 more buckets of lava. So let's get a bunch more buckets. We do have the iron available to make that happen. We got 147 iron. Unfortunately, no EMC on the iron front. But let's get just a bunch of buckets, and then let's go and get just a bunch of lava. We'll then drop all of that into the system, and we should be able to craft the iron band here, which is required in order to make the black hole band. And then we also need the watch of flowing time here. People did ask about this in the YouTube comments, and the reason we didn't use it is because it's disabled, unfortunately. It is craftable, but if you actually try and place it down to accelerate anything, it just doesn't work. And so we do need it to make the gem leggings, but it wouldn't have helped us in the last episode because it is disabled in the configs, unfortunately. Now, for the chest plate, we need a body stone, which I think we might have made before, but either way, it's super easy to make another one. And we need the vulcanite amulet, which again is why we got so many buckets of lava. Boom, there is the gem chest plate. Let's put that on as well. And finally, we need the gem helmet, which requires a soul stone, again, super easy, and an evertide amulet. The evertide amulet here requires more buckets, this time full of water. We moved our unlimited water source. Oh my goodness, we moved so much faster with this armor one. But we moved that over to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go craft all of that up into the evertide amulet. And finally, the gem helmet. Nice. Now, press Shift and X to toggle night vision. Oh, that is so much nicer, having the ability to have night vision. Also, I am fairly certain that we no longer need the Swift Wolf's Rending Gale, because I'm fairly certain here that the gem armor itself gives you creative flight, which is very nice indeed. And so, now that we have what I believe to be extraordinarily powerful armor, the next thing that we could do with is an extraordinarily powerful weapon. We do have the sword, which might be the most powerful. We can charge this up. Although people have been telling me that the Qatar here is actually better, and it is. It's got 24 attack damage as opposed to 17. Boom. And we can get rid of this. And maybe this as well. I actually don't know if this is like a fully multi-tool, multifunctional tool. I don't think it is actually, because I don't see a pickaxe in the crafting recipe there. So I'll keep a pickaxe and I'll keep the Qatar. And this guy shouting behind here is definitely the best target for this thing. So let's give this a try. He is invisible, but we can do it on the llamas. Yeah, so it does insta-kill the llamas, which is nice. And that does lead me to believe that it probably should do a lot of damage to something like the End Dragon, which I guess is our next port of call, because I think that's kind of just the next quest on the way to the end of the pack. So to do that, we have to go to the bottom of the nether. So let's take our temp pad. Let's go back to hot as hell, teleport, and let's head all the way down to the bottom of the world, which shouldn't be too difficult because we have been doing a fair bit of mining tunnel mining. And once we hit the bottom, we get to the end, which does look a little bit different than I'm used to. One test here of how strong our armor is going to be. Let me try just... Yeah, I figured that we are essentially invincible here with the gem armor. These end crystals do not do really any damage to us whatsoever, so we can just go around and break every single last one of these. And once we've done that, it should be a case of just taking our Qatar, and if we are fast enough, just kind of flying at the dragon. Again, I don't think that the dragon is going to do any reasonable amount of damage to us. It looks like we do have something that's pushing the dragon away a little bit, but for the most part, this seems fine. And if we can get the dragon to land especially, I think we're going to be able to do a staggering amount of damage with this Qatar and basically end this fight incredibly quickly. This should be it. Fantastic. Look at that. The dragon has been killed, and so now we just need to obtain the dragon egg, which I think is going to require that we quickly head back and grab a piston. Never mind, chat is right. We do have a torch on us. And so if we just give that a quick slap, we should then be able to dig down under here and break this egg. Gosh dang it, get out of here. Jeez. Okay. Let's do this. Let's do this. And let's do this. Nice. Okay, so that is our dragon egg. So now, the almighty super powerful being. Careful when placing it. You cannot destroy it. Command block, 3 soul sand, 3 wither skeleton skulls. Oh, I see we can craft a command block. Interesting. Okay, let us head back through to Earth. So we need to make a command block, which requires some dollar stone, which surprisingly we do have. I have no idea. Did we get that from the end just now, actually? Am I a fool? Let me run program, head back to end date. And I think it is actually just right here. It is indeed. Okay, let's do a little bit. Actually, you know what? We might as well use our good pickaxe for this. And you know what? Mining tunnel is completely fine. We only need some of it. Then we can head back. And hopefully, let me quickly check though. Do we need anything else from the end while we're here? We need soul sand and we need wither skeleton skulls. I think both of those we can make using chemistry. So we'll head back. And that should be everything for the command block. It is. And then we need 3 wither skeleton skulls. These are made with mendelevium and hydroxylapatite, maybe? We're going to have to figure that out. That's Ca5PO46OH2. Jeez, I think it's going to be makeable. It's just going to be a bit of a pain to make. Thankfully, it does have an EMC value, so getting more of it is fairly straightforward. And of course, the mendelevium we can make with tin and antimony. We've done that previously. And then the soul sand, I also don't think we've made, but we can make with silicon dioxide and thulium. Thulium we can make with carbon and europium. And europium is hydrogen and samarium or manganese and strontium. Manganese and strontium we have. That gets us europium, and then the europium along with carbon gets us the thulium. Nice. Okay, cool. And then we can take that and we need to combine it with silicon dioxide. That is fine. Let's take a stack of that and let's take a stack of silicon dioxide. We'll take both of those. We'll put them into our combiner. Boom and boom. That's going to get us soul sand. And I guess while we wait for that to do its thing, let's see if we can't make the this thing right here. So we need calcium, which we have, phosphate and hydroxide. Phosphate is phosphorus and oxygen. That is fine. Phosphorus, and I don't need 2 stacks of that. I just need 1 really. Oxygen, and then the other item was hydroxide, which is obviously just oxygen and hydrogen. So we'll take all of those, and then back over here, if we take the soul sand out, 10 is obviously more than enough. Phosphorus and oxygen, we'll give this a little tap to make it just that little bit faster, even though we only need the 1. And then hydrogen and oxygen is going to get us the hydroxide. Fantastic. Let's put all of that back into the system. And then if we take the hydroxide along with the phosphate and the calcium, we should then be able to combine all of those 3 up into the item that we need, which we can then drop into the system. And if we type in hydro, we can then take a stack of that stuff. Fantastic. And then all we need after that is mendelevium, which is antimony and tin. So let's take some tin. I'll take 2 stacks. Let's take the antimony. I'll also take 2 stacks. Let's whack all of that into our fusion reactor. Boom, boom, and of course, boom. And there we go, 2 stacks of mendelevium, and that should be basically everything for the wither skeleton skulls. It is. Let's go over here. We should have what it takes to make 4 of these. We do. Nice. Cool. So that should be this quest taken care of. We'll submit, submit, and submit. Summon the wither storm. Careful when placing it. You can't destroy it. The wither storm spawns in the end. Careful when placing it. You can't destroy it. Oh, is that just for the... Oh, I'm so confused. Is that just the command block? So I've heard a lot about this fight. I don't know how it's going to go. I've heard that it is a bit of a pain in the backside, but we'll clear out some inventory space here. I don't think we're necessarily going to need it really. But let's go through to the end again, and let's complete this quest, shall we? Oh, hello. That is quite something. I don't know how to summon. Finish the summoning quest. Make sure you let the Wither Storm evolve through its phases. Do not insta-kill him. Okay, I don't know how... I don't know how we kill it. I also don't know how we would insta-kill it either. I'm just going to go for the eyes. Oh, apparently it's still summoning currently. The health bar is going up at the top there. I assume like a regular Wither. There are a lot of... Oh my goodness, let me... I would like to leave, please. There were a lot of blocks flying around us and a lot of particle effects as well. My screen is very purple. I'm moving away because I don't know if it's gonna explode or not. People telling me to press F3B. That makes a lot of sense. It shows us the hitbox of the beast. Hitting him here does nothing, but it looks like we need to hit them in the head. That seems to work. Okay. And when you hit them in the head, they stop firing the beams. Okay. That makes sense. Oh, I see something up there. That looks like it is disappearing very quickly, though. Can I hit them up here? I can't. Do I have to go and hit that? That thing's flying away so fast. Yeah, no, that's gone. But then again, the eyes are now back. So do I need to kill... Do I need to, like, hit all 3 eyes and then get that... No. Oh, it's like a projectile. I see. So we kill the eye. That's fine. We kill the other eye. That's fine. The third eye is coming back, but we can kill that as well. That's fine. Okay, so the 3 eyes are dead. Alright, so you just have to wait, apparently, which, in my opinion, doesn't make it a great boss fight, but you're waiting for that withered symbiont to spawn. So now we need to go and kill the withered symbiont. Oh, I see him. There he is. Hello. Thank you for the arrows to the face. So this guy, we have to hit in the back by the looks of it. He's got a little pink mark on his back, which is difficult because he turns around very quickly. But, and also we've got, like, he's pushing us back like the end dragon normally would. But progress is being made. He's almost dead. Okay. I think he is dead. He's at 0 out of 60. Supposedly now, he's going to drop a book of some persuasion. And we need that book. He's clapping. And he's dead. Okay, let's take the book. Apparently we need 2 books, so I think we are going to have to come back and fight that guy again. Again, I assume we just wait for him to spawn. That's all we did. Whoops, I don't want to go there. I want to go to Earthhome. That's all we did for the first guy. We just waited for him to spawn. Back at home, though, we can take this book, and there are 2 things that we need. So if we go to @wither, we need the F-bomb, the Formidabomb, and we need, I assume, the command block sword is also what we need. The command block sword is made with the enchanted command block book and a diamond sword in the smithing table. That is easy enough. We do need a little bit more in the way of planks, but that is fine. Let's take those, and then let's do this, and we can put that down right about here. And if we make ourselves a regular Minecraft diamond sword, we can then combine that with the book to get the command block sword. Now that we have that, we need to go and wait again because we need to make the Formidabomb, which is just gunpowder, blaze, and super TNT, which is TNT, gunpowder, and another enchanted book. So let's go back and let's do a little bit more waiting until we spawn another one of those little guys. All right, that's Symbiont number 2. That should allow us to make the F-bomb. Okay, so we don't have enough gunpowder to make the TNT required, nor I guess the gunpowder to make the actual F-bomb itself. That is fine. The gunpowder can be made with graphite, potassium nitrate, and sulfur. Do we not have any gunpowder at all? We don't. Interesting. That is fine. Sulfur we have, graphite we have, potassium nitrate is nitrate, and potassium nitrate is nitrogen and oxygen. All of that is very doable over in the combiner. So we'll take a stack of potassium nitrate, we will take a stack of graphite and a stack of sulfur. A few stacks of each, I imagine, just to make sure we've got enough gunpowder to make the F-bomb here. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think 24 should be maybe enough. Let's do 4 TNT. Sand also doesn't have any MC value, and so we are going to once again have to head down here. Thankfully, now that we have our Philosopher's Stone charged, we can turn a lot of dirt into sand very quickly and then just ultimine all of it. 1, 2, 3, 4 TNT gets us the super TNT, but then we are actually going to need yet more gunpowder to make this work. That is fine. The only thing I think that we are missing is some more sulfur. Good stuff. Once we have at least 4 gunpowder, boom, there is our F-bomb. 597 seconds until detonation, which is 10 minutes. I've been told that if I take a flint and steel, we can potentially make that faster. So apparently I just placed this down anywhere, and the wither storm is gonna pick that up. Although, maybe we just light it. I'm also being told it's got a very large radius, and so we just kind of light it and then fly away, maybe quickly enough to where we don't die. I will go and one more time, real quick here, hit these heads to stop the rays from getting to us. The hitbox is not the easiest to find. There we go. Even with the hitboxes enabled, it wasn't particularly easy to see. And I'm being told that we just have to light this. Okay. It's lit. I'm going to back away. And potentially, it's going to explode. Something is happening. I see the bomb is lighting up. Okay, I think... Yep. And I believe that that is the end of the Wither boss. Look at this. Okay. Wither Storm. Can I attack this? Oh no, okay. This might be where we need this sword. Oh, never mind. Okay. We've moved on. The Wither Storm didn't die. Its eyes are now further apart than they were before. Alright, so after more waiting, which by the way is the entirety of this boss, by the way, you just wait and wait and wait and wait. It is maybe the worst boss that I've ever fought, but I see what I believe to be the portal that we're after. So let me go and, we're currently being sucked by this eye. Let's turn that eye off. And then let's head into the head portal. There we go. Okay. Loading terrain. Right. We have entered a new dimension. I assume we're going this way. This looks like it might be where we need to be, and I assume that we need this command block sword to do this. Oh. Okay, it looks like there's maybe a bit of a cooldown, but I assume we just keep hitting the command block periodically, and that's going to allow us to kill the tentacles are in a little bit of a heart shape, so I assume this is where we're going. Alright, maybe one more hit. Okay, maybe we need to kill the heads. But maybe the heads are only killable when they're beaming, because this guy's not beaming and I can't kill him. Maybe I can hit this. Chat. I think we've done it. We're back once again in the end. Hopefully that wasn't like stage 1 of 100. New Ender islands are spawning. This looks like it might be the end. Chat. We've done it. Okay. So. Run program. Earth home base. Take me home. Next up, the final star. It needs 8 final power flowers, mark 16. I believe, yeah, we got a stack of them. Fantastic. Let us craft 8 of these with 1 withered nether star. That gets us the final star. And with that, the end. GG, you win. That is the end of the mod pack. I quite enjoyed this pack right up until that final boss fight. This boss fight is not good. It's bad. Most of it involves just waiting a very, very, very long time, and the pack doesn't even tell you that you have to wait. There's no indication. It just says make sure you let the Wither Storm evolve. What they don't tell you is that takes like an hour. You just wait, and then you wait some more, and then you kill one of the symbiotes, and then you just wait some more, and then you kill the other symbiote, and then you kill the Wither for the first time with the F-bomb. Again, that's not mentioned anywhere. And then you kill, and then you wait again. You just have to wait for the portal to arrive. There's just so much waiting for no reason. It makes no sense. You can't speed it up. No matter what you do, like sleeping in the bed over here doesn't do it. You can't sleep in the end. That doesn't do it. Just a ton of waiting. Anyway, the pack is complete. We made the final star. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this series of UniversIO there. If you enjoyed the series and you haven't done so already, go ahead and hit subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Hit the like button to see more modded Minecraft content in the future. I'll be back fairly shortly with a brand new modded Minecraft experience. For now, though, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.